What's up? What's up? What's going on, Hoop Dreams fans out there, man? We got a special show today, an update show, our weekly update. But joining us today, man, we brought in a special guest. We brought in Zach, man, to give us his expertise on the WNBA. He works for SB Nation. He is a sports writer and particularly focusing on the Chicago Sky, but his expertise spans across all sports. So we're going to hit Zach with everything today. But let me tell y'all, we got so much going on in the world of sports. You know, the Olympics is coming down, the WNBA. You know, you got the All Star game that's coming up. We just had the NBA draft, and on top of that, there's this NBA free agency frenzy that's like going crazy. And I'm just trying to figure out how me and Agee can get some of that money because it seems like they just tossing contracts out to everybody. But first, before we get started, uh, I just gotta throw this out here. Let me do this first. I'm Will Gates. That's my dog.
Arthur Agee in the building.
AJ, before we get started, man, I just want to throw some love and send it out here, man, to I think a special talent. He just announced his retirement the other day, man. I want to send some love out to Kemba Walker, man. One of the greatest guards to ever play the game of basketball. I mean, you talking about, they call him Cardiac Kemba for a reason. He broke hearts in the NCAA tournament and carried that over into his NBA career, man. And it's like that bittersweet moment that he's retiring. But, man, much love to him, his family, and his history in the game will never, never, never be forgotten. He is truly a warrior. And I'm hoping at some point the Charlotte Hornets doing right, man. They get some kind of honoring there. I don't know, with a statue, number retirement, but he deserves it, man. He put that Charlotte franchise on the map per se. I mean, they've always had some great players over there, but when you think of Charlotte, you go like, oh yeah, that's where Kemba played. But with that being said, man, listen here, man. I want to hit this first because there's so much going on in the world of sports again. The NBA draft, we just had that. I want to get both of y'all take on it because the earlier first round picks, international players, and I want to come from it this perspective. What is happening in the NBA or in America per se that we cannot find enough talent that we have to travel overseas? Is that saying something about here, or is this just expanding the game globally and giving other athletes an opportunity to join what many consider the best league in the world? What's you guys' take on that? Let's start with you, Agee.
I mean, I just think it's like what you just hit on. It's globally. They want to get more eyes on the NBA. So how to get more eyes on the NBA is to go over there and scout, check these players out, see who's young enough, who got enough heart to come into this league and make a name for themselves. I mean, it's been going on for years. I mean, but the influx of this draft and what has been going on for the last 10 years, I think, just looking from the outside in, it's like, hey, let's globalize this thing. We want to bring how we get more eyes on it. Well, go and scout and bring some of their players over to our league, and maybe that'll get more eyes on it. Now, people will break it down to why they doing that. What's the reason for that? Well, why we not getting USA players? Can we find some college guys that? Well, I think the mentality, if you want to go into it and all that, I think it's the mentality of our players in the United States where we think, we are privileged, almost to get those looks and to get opportunities in the NBA, but it's not that easy now. You may have a 6'8", 6'9" guy coming from France, coming from Serbia, and they're more cerebral, they're more savvy and knowing the game because they've been playing at a young age, but playing in more older guys in that league. So I think that's what it is. What you think, Zach?
Well, I think it's a combination of a bunch of different things. I think first and foremost, this is just a continuation of, the game expanding on a global level, dating back to the last 30, 40 years. We can go back as far as the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona with the Dream Team, where the game was starting to become more of a global game. And then since then, you've seen just this surge of European talent, and not even just European talent. You got players from China, you got players from Japan, you got players from other different parts of the world that are starting to make an impact on the game, especially at the professional level. And then also when it comes to the United States, particularly in the college game, it's more of an incentive to stay in college now because of the transfer portal, because of NIL deals, and eventually, student athletes are going to be compensated thanks to the lawsuit that the NCAA or the deal that the NCAA agreed to that would pave the way in the next year or so for student athletes to be compensated. So I think there's more of an incentive to stay in college more than ever because now players can benefit from it. And so
Yeah.
I think I think those two things in particular are the reasons why the NBA or the makeup of the NBA is not what it used to be, or at least not what we are, or at least not what we've come to familiarize ourselves with it.
Well, let me
Yeah.
ask you, both of you guys this, man. Does this hurt the game or help the game? And I'm looking at it from this perspective. Has the international game caught up with the American game that much that they're deserving of the number one, number two, number three, number four pick in the NBA draft?
Well,
Does that hurt the game?
I don't think it necessarily hurt the game. Um, Maybe to the guys who getting picked over, maybe it hurts to them. But you know, I mean that's a kind of a slippery slope there because some. I mean, we don't know how these guys is really gonna pan out. Everyone is going off potential. Off of what they did. Previously. Now when they get into this arena, you know, it's a thing of proving yourself again. Um, but I mean, I think it hurt the game far as the players that's getting picked over, but far as the game globalized and those guys coming over here getting the opportunity, why shouldn't they get an opportunity? They play basketball. They just in another
Well,
country.
well, let me rephrase that question. Not necessarily hurting the game from it growing. I'm talking about hurting the game. Will the American public continue to be interested in an international game? Because if we become an international game, I mean, we have the Olympics. Do we want this in the American basketball right now? Will that hurt the game?
Zach?
I mean, I don't. I think it's hard to. I think it's hard to tell at this point. I think it just remains to be seen. But I do think that again, it's this continuation of the game expanding globally. And when it comes to the Olympics, I think what you'll see as more European players come into the league and get drafted higher and make an impact. I think what you'll see is more players from the European side. Certainly, when it comes to the Olympics, they'll go and represent their home countries in the way that Paul Gasol did with Spain, the way Manu Ginobili did, the way that other European players and other players on the international level did. And maybe because of that, maybe there'll be more attention paid to those players and to those countries to see what they've been able to do. And if we're going to be honest, when it comes to the Olympics, I mean, I know the Olympics are coming up here in a few months. Dating back to 2004, can't believe it's almost 20 years now. I mean, we all remember Team USA winning the bronze medal and
Yeah.
woefully underperforming, and they've never lived that down until 2008 came along in Beijing with the Redeem Team and so forth. But I think what that showed was that at that point, 20 years ago, other countries, Spain, Lithuania, Germany, France, others, they were able to catch up with the United States and compete at their level. And it happened prior to that, certainly, but that was sort of like the culmination point. And you know, and if we're going to be honest, I think that when it comes to the Olympics, I still think Team USA is going to win the gold medal. I mean, it's sort of almost a given at this point. But I would just say that these other countries are up to the challenge and proven that they've been up to the challenge. And so it's going to be interesting to see.
I will agree with you on that. I do think the other countries have proven that they can play with the league. Now, going back to when the USA took that bronze medal, we didn't send our best. You remember there was a season and a span where guys just didn't want to play. The best
Want to
guys
play?
didn't want to go
No.
out there. And I think when America sends, I still think American basketball is still the greatest basketball, in the world right now. But with that being said, man, it's going to be interesting to see. I agree with both of you guys. I think it remains to be seen.
Hey,
But
hey,
also, too, I think it kind of, just my perspective on it, hurts the game a little bit in the sense of uh, here in America, you got little boys and little girls with the dream of playing in the NBA, and now they may never get that opportunity because as the game continues to expand globally, there's only so many spots already. There's only so many rounds in the NBA draft. And now if, there's 30 other countries participating in
yeah.
that, it really slices the pie down really small.
Hey, you know what else, guys? I also think because a lot of people forget that the NBA has implemented a grassroots, I wouldn't say a campaign, but they have the NBA Without Borders organization, overseas, to where they're actually targeting these high school and college players to where they are playing in the NBA Borders organization, and they are able, the coaches, the USA coaches in college, they're able to see these players and pick and pluck some of those guys and girls and bring them over to their universities. So we got to understand that the NBA, NBA Without Borders, that organization is vital to those young athletes over there that's looking to, expand their game and come to US and the college and hopefully get to the WNBA or the NBA.
Mhm.
But is that fair? Now, again, I'm not against what the NBA is doing, but I'm saying, is that fair that these guys get NBA Without Borders? They get an opportunity to grow, participate, learn the American game on a professional level, whereas here in America, kids got to go through high school, they got to go through college, they got to figure it out. By the time they get to the pros, they evaluate it on, uh, you know, not just their game, but they evaluated on their personalities. They evaluated on, their families. Like here, it seems like the road has become tougher, but lesser to get in, as opposed to overseas. Now they get to grow up in an NBA kind of environment in a sense. What's your take on that? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's just really, I think in some ways, other countries are starting to play catch up to where America's at. Like America has already had a foundation built over the last 75 years, at least when it comes to the NBA, because the NBA has been around for 75 plus years. So there's more of a foundation built and a pathway built for players to be able to enter the league. Now, it used to be where players in America would go straight from high school to the pros, and we all know who those guys were. And then it was high school,
Right.
college, then the pros. I mean, that was the traditional route until, guys like Moses Malone, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, LeBron James, and others decided to break that mold, go straight from high school to the pros. But like you said, Will, there was that emphasis on not just who they are as players, but their personalities, their backgrounds, family dynamics, and so forth. And I think that's what's happening overseas as well. It's not necessarily that, they're trying to make things easier for the guys overseas. It's just that they're trying to take what was done in America successfully and bring that to other parts of the world, and not just Europe. I mean, you can look at the NBA Africa, where they're starting to grow the game in Africa.
Yeah.
And so, I think what it is just taking what we've already done here in America and applying it to other countries and just seeing how it works.
Love it. Well, listen, I want to leave that there, man. And just to say this, to put this out there, I think the growth of the game is great. I'm glad that it is growing because it makes you have to work that much harder to maintain and get. And I think we're going to see where all this balances itself out during these Olympics. We're going to see how great USA basketball is compared to the world. So from there, I think the NBA may really be watching it closely to see who has true dominance. But I want to move on, man. You know, we just went through the NBA draft, and we just got to talk about this for a little bit, man. This is probably one of the first times in NBA history that a second round pick has meant more to the world than anything else that's going on. And of course, I'm talking about Bronny James, LeBron James Jr., where he is now officially introduced to the world as a Los Angeles Laker. And here's what's even interesting about this. Zach, Tuss, I don't know if you guys know this, but Bronny's jersey is like number one. Like, this kid hasn't even played a game yet, and he's already, living the hoop dreams per se. What's your take on why do you think that this pick, the number 55th pick, which normally we wouldn't even care about, has turned into this, just this worldwide frenzy of like, we need to know. What's your take on that? Let's go with you, Agee.
Man, we all know who is about. It's a LeBron James kid. That's it. That's it. It's LeBron James DNA. That's it. You can say nepotism. You can say whatever you want to say. He's 55 pick in the NBA draft. And he is holding up a Lakers jersey with his number on it, his name on back. They done sold out jerseys. They done even sold out T-shirts with his name on them. Like, what are you upset about? Like, you mad because you not LeBron James' son? Like, what are you talking about? Like, go hug your daddy.
Right.
Go hug your daddy. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I don't get what everybody talking about. Oh, there's other picks that guys. Isaiah Collier was better than him on the same team, and he went. Hey man, Isaiah Collier is not LeBron James' son. Period. We all know what this is about. Eat it, swallow it, and move on. And whatever happens, we gonna see. Because he's going to have to play summer league and still prove himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of kids, that didn't put in the work in college, and they didn't get drafted. We ain't talking about the guys who was good enough, the LeBron son, that they didn't get drafted. They didn't went to school for 4 years. Hey, man, the NBA is not for everybody. This is the elite of the elites of the elites. And it's come down to name recognition. Who you know. And if you can use all those avenues to get your son in the league, you better do it.
Zach, what's your take on that?
I mean, it's simple. LeBron James is living out the dreams of many fathers. I mean, honestly, yeah, who wouldn't want to play with their son in not just the NBA, but anywhere? I mean, the fact that he gets to play with his son in the NBA is amazing within and of itself. And it's something that I guarantee you a lot of fathers would dream about and would relish in if they had that opportunity to not just see their son play professional sports, but to actually play with them. I mean, the only example that I can think of that was as monumental as this was in baseball, Ken Griffey Sr., Ken Griffey Jr. And, I think the overreaction to it, and I get some of the criticisms of it, the arguments about nepotism and so forth. I mean, that's all well and good and understandable and legitimate. But aside from that, why are we getting so wound up over the 55th pick in the second round as if he was going to be the guy who was going to turn the Lakers around? I mean, let's be honest about that. And like you said, Agee, the Bronny has to go through the summer league. He has to go through the training process. He's not going to get an easy path. And another thing that I think people are overlooking is that whatever happens to Bronny James, whatever numbers he puts up or how much playing time he gets or those sorts of tangibles, he's going to be fine no matter what. And
Thank you.
Another thing to look at is LeBron went through all those obstacles and took on a lot of pressure so that his kids wouldn't have to. You know what I mean? Like when he came into the league, he had all this weight on his shoulders. All of us were watching him dating back to high school, Sports Illustrated put him on the cover when he was 15 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had all this pressure, all this weight on him from the very beginning. And if we're going to be honest, he exceeded all those expectations
Yes,
and
he
then
damn
some.
did.
You
Yes,
know,
he did.
the fact that he's 37, 38 years old, approaching 40 years old at this point, and he's still at the top of his game is just unprecedented. So again, he went through all of those hurdles so that his kids wouldn't have to. So whatever happens to Bronny James, he's going to be fine no matter what.
And then Will, let me tell you this though. They acting like, you know, Bronny James is a buster. Like he can't play or something. Like, what the hell was y'all looking at? Like the boy can he can dribble, pass, and shoot.
Yep.
And
like,
he was a McDonald's All-American.
Yeah. Like,
that wasn't
what are
given
you
to
talking
him.
about? Right. It wasn't handed to him. Like, this dude had to play. And obviously at USC, they didn't use him correctly. You know, he just went to that school because it was in California, close to, you know, where they live. And, you know, they already had veteran dogs on that team, guards and stuff like that. Hell, he didn't even start. And then for a kid, he almost died.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the kid almost died. Man, come on, man. If you somebody out there hating on the James family and Bronny, go hug your daddy.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, man, and then I want to move on. But my take on it is this: if I had a team, let's say for example, if I was Michael Jordan and I owned the Charlotte Hornets, both of my kids getting contracts. I'm just telling, listen, they can call it whatever they want to call it. It's my money, it's my choice, it's what I value. So, but I'm happy for that. I'm happy for Bronny, man. I agree with both Zach, you, and Agee, man. Agee, I love what you said, man. Chew it, swallow it, and let it go. I mean,
That's it.
Because here's the thing, it ain't changing. And Zach, I definitely agree with you, man. Who wouldn't want that? Who wouldn't want an opportunity to, on any level, to play with their kid? Because right now, there are fathers, there's mothers playing with their sons and daughters out there for free.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he gets an opportunity to do it on the greatest level. So shout out to the James family. Shout out to nepotism, because guess what? This ain't the first time we've seen it. When I look at the Cowboys, I don't see nothing but nepotism over there in that organization. So I'm as they say, I'm here for it. But listen, guys, let's keep this thing moving. Zach, man, I want to come to you first on this, man. We gotta go WNBA. Hey, man, listen, you sitting there, you in the heat of it. You're seeing all of this firsthand. I just want to just first of all, just give us your take on what has this WNBA season been like, seeing it up close and personal?
Well, for me, it's just been something special, because when I was a kid, you know, in addition to growing up watching the NBA, I mean, obviously growing up in, you know, the Chicago area in Rockford, Illinois, where I'm originally from, small town called Winnebago, growing up with the Michael Jordan and the Bulls, obviously. But when the WNBA first started in 1997, I mean, I was only a kid at the time, but I fell in love with it. I mean, my favorite team was the New York Liberty, Rebecca Lobo and Kim Hampton and Teresa Witherspoon, who's now the coach of the Chicago Sky. So to be able to be up close and personal to witness all this has just been miraculous. And I mean, this season in particular has been extremely special for obvious reasons. I mean, you're seeing the exploits of Caitlin Clark, of Angel Reese, of Rakia Jackson, of Cameron Brink, who unfortunately went through an ACL injury and is now out for the season, and we wish her all the best. And just to see just the expansion and the growth of the game and the interest level of the game has just been something special to see. And for me to be able to cover the Chicago Sky at this particular time. Oh, and can't forget about Camila Cardoso playing for the Sky as well. I mean, she is really starting to come into her own after starting the season injured, and then coming back. And now she finds herself in the starting five along with Angel Reese. yesterday against the Atlanta Dream, they won 85-77. Angel came away with her 11th consecutive double-double. I mean, yeah, 12 points and 19 rebounds. I mean, she just continues to amaze. She continues to astonish. And then Camila Cardoso is right there with her. I mean, she had 8 points and 10 rebounds. And then Kennedy Carter, who's just been just one of the fiercest players on the court, dynamic, quick, good in transition. Very smart. 26 points last night. I mean, it's been something special.
Let me ask you this, Zach. This is so crazy. Have you seen, I mean, in all of your sports history, and AG, you could chime in on this too. Have you ever seen an explosion of interest like this? Like I've been like trying to find it in my mind. Like I can't recall, because see, I wasn't old enough to really appreciate the Magic Bird era of saving the NBA, but I don't think in my lifetime have I seen uh, a growth of explosion of interest of just ferocity out there when it comes to the WNBA right now. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
I have not seen anything like this before. I mean, even when I was a child, I mean, in the beginning of the league, there was a lot of interest, with Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie, Cynthia Cooper, Rebecca Lobo. I mean, those players generated a lot of interest. They were in commercials, they got endorsements, the Houston Comets sold out the Compact Arena every night. And then after a while, after that, the league kind of went on a downturn a little bit. They had great players, but didn't have the level of interest that they had in the beginning. And then they went through this ebb and flow period. And now it's reached a point to where it's inescapable. And I think social media plays a big part in that as well, because with social media, it's hard to escape anything really. And some of it's been good. Obviously, some of it has been negative. Some of the commentary surrounding it, but I just think overall in the long run, it's just going to be good for the game. And not only with this dynamic rookie class, but you got these established veteran players who have been in the league for a while now, who we've noticed them, who have been covering the league. We've noticed their talents and we've noticed their greatness. It's just that everybody else is starting to play catch up. So I think in the long run, everybody wins.
Yeah. Hey, I'm like this. I'm a WNBA fan since 1997. You know what I'm saying? I've been watching these games, these women, and like you said, it's all about social media and the catch up. People who are just now never watched a WNBA game, but because of social media, they like, oh, this is the new thing that's happening now. Let me see if these girls can play. I'm talking about the explosion of the interest from people who normally wouldn't watch the game. That has jumped off the charts. And for this girl, Angel Reese, can somebody box her out? Is they just not letting it? I mean, she's Dennis Rodman, bro. Like, she's rebounding. How can you just say, I'm finna go out here and every game for the next 5 games, I'm finna hit the boards. I'm finna get over 10 rebounds every time. No, you're not. No, yes, I am. Ain't nobody going to box me out. If they try to, I'm going around them. I'm getting this rebound, throwing it out. I mean, this girl is unbelievable. She has 11 total now. Candace Parker has 12. So I even want her to surpass Candace Parker and get 13. I love the fact that Kennedy Carter has resurrected herself when she went overseas and came back. Now she's rejuvenated and got the due that she's deserving. How about Diana Taurasi? 42 years old, and she is still rocking
and playing in the Olympics again.
Now let's just go down the road to the Vegas. I mean, Vegas is just unbelievable. I mean, let's go to the New York Liberty with Stewie and Sabrina over there. I mean, come on, man. This league Caitlin has brought in a train of advertisers. I'm talking about they flying private now. I mean, it's in a great, awesome place right now. So if you got a daughter out there that hey, hey, put that soccer ball down. Get over there and get that basketball.
Hey, listen, I can't tell you how many dads I have talked to that have said, "Oh, my kid playing basketball," right? It's
Yep.
now. Here's what's interesting to me, though, man. I love this aspect. I thought at one point, and I will admit, I didn't know the longevity that the WNBA was going to have simply for this reason alone: summer basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? We're preoccupied with other things. And
Yep.
even if you transition some of that like into baseball, you go like, okay, summer sport, I'm gonna take my family there. Those are more like picnic kind of things. And then of course, if your kid is playing AAU basketball, that interest just it to me, it was kind of like how many there's football in the summer. It's like, I don't know. You know, our minds are conditioned to the fall sport. And when you think about that, what was it or what has it been that has made the sport right now so popular that even though it is being played in the summertime, it is not only commanding respect, but it is changing the way we view even just the game itself. Like when I watch it now, I'm seeing so much talent out there that I probably never saw before. What's your take on that? Why is this game so popular now?
I think, for one, we're talking about the summertime. So outside of baseball, there's not really that much going on sports wise. So to me, it's sort of a perfect timing for something like this to blossom. And then also you have great storylines. I mean, the obvious one being Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. Now, in addition to covering the Chicago Sky, the last 3 years for SB Nation, I've also had the good fortune of covering Iowa when Caitlin was there. So I got to witness a lot of her big moments, and that was just a fun team to be around. And the storyline started obviously with the 2023 NCAA final, which garnered 10 million television viewers. It obviously generated a lot of debate. A lot of it was unwarranted and unnecessary, but you had two compelling players. I mean, people are talking about, even Magic Johnson said it himself, that this mirrors, Magic and Bird resurrecting the NBA. And they certainly did that. And the NBA wouldn't be what it is now if it wasn't for them. And so obviously now you look at Caitlin and Angel, and the difference being is that they're not alone. They got Camila, they got Cameron, they got Rakia. And then in the years to come, next year, Paige Beckers will be coming from UConn. Eventually we'll see Juju Watkins. And she's obviously one of the best players in the game right now, one of the best shooters, obviously. And then after that, you got Hannah Hidalgo at Notre Dame. I mean, just the talent pool has just been so fun, so compelling, and it's hard to escape. And people like a good story. And this is obviously a good story. And the fact that it's been generating all this buzz and all this interest, and even it's even reaching places where you never would have expected the WNBA to reach. And so I think all in all, it's just good for not just the league, but just for sports in general.
Hey, Will, let me tell you something. If I hit the lottery and I was a billionaire, I'm talking a billionaire, you know what I'm doing? I'm going to buy and bring back the Houston Comets. I'm going to get Tina Thompson. I'm going to get Cheryl Swoops. I'm going to get Cynthia and a few more of them players, and I'm going to have them run the team.
Well, I tell you this. I love that idea. I can't believe they haven't brought that organization back yet.
There's been some talk about it. There's been some rumblings about it.
Man.
Because it's long overdue. I'm looking like, come on, the first four-peat in any sports history. I mean, how do you not bring that back? But
Vegas is chasing them. Vegas is chasing them.
They are.
Well, I tell you this, they looking pretty good in that chase.
And if I may say about the Houston Comets, Agee, just so you know, I happen to know Coach Van Chancellor. I have his phone number, so if you need to pitch this idea to him, I can hook you up.
Yes, hook me up. I will be a voice for them.
But win the lottery first. Win the lottery first.
You want to hear something crazy about that? Coach Van Chancellor actually does the radio for my kids' games at Houston Christian University.
Oh my
He's
God.
What?
like, yes. So I see him all the time.
Wow.
But that's just one of them side notes. But Zach, man, I want to get this, man, before we close this down. Man, we got coming up, and I'm excited about this, man. This WNBA All-Star game. I mean, this is going to be incredible. USA versus the All-Stars. Man, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this before. There's no way escaping greatness now. Like, all of the greatness is going to be in one building. And I'm looking at the WNBA All-Stars. I'm saying, gosh, that's an Olympic team too. I mean, this is just, man, what can we expect from this? Because I think the ladies will be different than the men. The men come out there and they kind of,
They don't really want to be there.
right, Harlem Globetrotter-ish.
Yeah.
I think the ladies are going to compete. What can we expect from this All-Star game?
I would agree with that. I think they're going to come out and compete, and they do compete in the All-Star game. I mean, I had the good fortune of covering the 2022 All-Star game in Chicago, and they were competing. And I expect the same thing to be happening in Vegas pretty soon. And what I also see it as, it's sort of like a recognition of of what's here and what's to come. You know what I mean? So the Team USA, you got the established veterans. You got Brittany Griner, you got Kelsey Plum, you got Sabrina, you got Diana, Kalia Copper, Asia Wilson. You got all these great players that are in the here. And then when you look at the All-Star team with Caitlin, Angel, and others, that's the future. That's sort of like the future of what is to come. Because all this talk that's been happening around Team USA and who should be picked and who's not and who wasn't picked. I mean, obviously the discussion was on Caitlin and why she wasn't picked. But she's going to be on Team USA eventually. Same with Angel. They're all going to be on the Olympic team in the next 4 years when the Olympics come to Los Angeles in 2028. So I see it as just great competition. They're going to be competitive. They're going to, play it like it's a real game. They're going to take it seriously, enjoy themselves. And again, what you'll see is the beginning of the passing of the torch. You'll see the players on Team USA who are established, who are in the here and now. They're going to play their game, carry it over to Paris, and most likely win. And then the All-Star players are going to be looked at as the future for not just Team USA, but also obviously for the league.
Yeah.
Zach, I got to ask you a tough question though, man, before we get you out of here. And this is, has the WNBA dealt with, it's a two-part question. One is more coming from, okay, what's next? How do they sustain this? And then the other question is, has the WNBA, have they dealt with what's currently happening right now the right way, or have they missed some opportunities because it happened so fast? What's your take on that?
I think they're starting to play catch up in a way. I think they're, making up for lost time. They still obviously got a lot more work to do. But I do think they're making some significant inroads. Just the fact that they now, as Agee alluded to earlier, the fact that they now fly charter, most of them do, is a step in the right direction, because that's been something that the players have been arguing about for years now. And now you got the issue of expansion. You got a team coming to Golden State, you got a team coming to Toronto, and they're looking at other locales to put a team together. So I see that happening in the future. The question will be, how do they build off of that in terms of maximizing roster space? Because WNBA rosters are very limited. So even though you go through training camp at the beginning of the season, that doesn't automatically mean you're going to make the team. And a lot of players who get drafted go through training camp and then they get waived just right before the season starts. And then they're left to, play overseas or, look at other options and so forth. So I think there is a lot of work to be done. I think they're making some inroads, some tangible inroads. And to answer your other question, Will, I think the way they build off of that is to continue to make those inroads, to continue to listen to the players. Because if you look back, at the WNBA in the beginning, with Val Ackerman as the commissioner, the original commissioner, she ran it like a league. And really, it's been run like a business,
Yeah.
and that's not how you sustain that in professional sports. You can't run it like a business. And so,
Yeah.
I mean, Kathy Engelbert has made some progress, and I think she's listening to the players a lot more. But that's the way that you go forward in sustaining the league, is by listening to the players who have been saying for years, we know what we want, we know what we need, listen to us. And as long as they do that, I think the league can continue to make a lot of progress. It's going to take some time, but they're heading in the right direction.
And your take on the NBA, have they done enough, or what more can the NBA do to support this? Because if essentially it's a brother sister relationship now. I mean, what more should or could the NBA be doing?
I think the NBA at the very least can just continue to highlight and support the players in the league, by going to their games, which they've done for years since the league started. I mean, obviously, some people may think of the NBA and the WNBA, the players being at odds with each other, fighting each other, but if you really look at it, there's been a genuine solidarity between the two. I mean, I can think back to Kobe Bryant, obviously. Like, in his later years before he tragically passed away, you saw him at more WNBA games than you saw him at NBA games. And he developed a great rapport with a lot of the players in the league. And even when he came into the league in 96, 97, when the league first started, the WNBA first started, he was one of its passionate supporters. And you always saw NBA players, and you still do see NBA players sitting courtside at their games, just like you see WNBA players sitting courtside at NBA games. So I think the solidarity and the support has always been there. I just think they just need to continue to highlight the league, to support the league, talk about the players on a regular basis, continue to show up for them and show out for them. And obviously, the NBA players get a lot of buzz and a lot of attention, and they have a lot of followers on social media. So I think the more visuals that are out there of them supporting the league, I think everything just takes care of itself from there.
Absolutely. Well, listen here, Zach, man, I want to thank you for joining us on this NBA WNBA sports update, man. You've been amazing. We got to have you back on. How can people find you?
You can follow me on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. It's at Draves, DRAV as in Victor, ES, Zachary, on X on Twitter. And then also you can follow me on Instagram. It's at ZDraves0633. And the reason I put 0633 as those last four numbers on Instagram, number 6, Bill Russell, number 33, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
There you go. Hey, you want to plug that Reimagining a Dynasty?
Oh yes, I do want to give a shout out to my people at just going to pull it up here really quickly. Just want to give a shout out to all the people at the 9450, which is a production company headed by Daniel Artest, we're producing. Yes, exactly. So exactly. So we're producing a podcast called Reimagining a Dynasty that tells the story of the Houston Comets in a podcast form. So we do have one episode out. We're looking on putting some more together. I'm actually going to look to put something together about Kim Peratt, the captain of the Houston Comets, who passed away 25 years ago this August. So be on the lookout for that. And please support the 9450. You can follow them on X or Twitter at the 9450.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we got to get Daniel Artest on the podcast, Will, to talk about that.
I'm gonna reach out to Daniel today, man. I'll reach out to him today.
Yep.
Well, listen, we want to thank you guys, especially you, Zach, for joining us today. Hey, don't forget to follow us on all of your social media platforms at OG Hoop Dreams. You can find us there. And remember, leave us questions about the things that you want to hear us talking about. Send them. We'll put them on there. Again, Zach, thank you for joining us today. And Agee, take us out, man.
Y'all know what to do. We always use it. And subscribe.